Travel all over the countryside, ask the Leylands, ask the Leylands. Travel all over the countryside, ask the Leyland brothers. Whatever it is that you want to see, ask the Leylands, ask the Leylands. No matter whatever that happens to be, ask the Leyland brothers. Come on, me in it and join in the fun. Travel all over Australia. Ask the Leyland, ask the Leyland, ask the Leyland brothers.
Crossing from the mainland to our island state of Tasmania is no longer the hazardous adventure it used to be. We're going to have a look at the modern sea road link across Bass Strait.
And then we go to Warrnambool here in Victoria to answer an unusual request about pottery.
Have you ever wondered how they teach those porpoises to do fantastic tricks? Well, here at Coffs Harbour we find out. The sight of a large ship at sea conjures up thoughts of exotic ports and leisurely days on deck. Without going on an overseas cruise, you can get the same romantic effect by crossing Bass Strait on board the Empress of Australia. A letter from Mr. G. Arthur of Brisbane asks if we can show the Bass Strait crossing and what it is like on the bridge of the ship as it comes into berth at Davenport. The Empress is a drive-on ferry of 2,682 tonnes. It can carry 140 vehicles and 440 passengers, with a crew of 98. The Empress leaves Melbourne at 8 o'clock at night to make the 370-kilometre crossing to Tasmania by 10 o'clock the next morning. The engine room is manned around the clock, but nearly everyone else is in their bunks for the night. The Empress is powered by 2 turbocharged manned diesels. Dawn at sea is a magnificent sight, even on the chilly waters of Bass Strait. The strait has the reputation of being the roughest stretch of water on the Australian coast, with hundreds of shipwrecks to its credit. Today is calm with a cold wind to keep the passengers rugged up. On the bridge I spoke to Captain Hadley and asked him how many times he has crossed Bass Strait.
I gave away counting after the first 2,000 that it'd be well up over 3,000 by now. And they're not all like this one. This is, as you'll see, as calm as as I say, the backyard swimming pool, but I have seen them on one occasion in the last 4 years, as the seas as high as that flagstaff up there, which is 50 feet above the water. And believe you me, when they get as high as that, they're big, but they're the exception, not the rule. Bass Strait, I know, has a reputation for being bad, but it's only a case of when it is bad, it is really bad, but 90% of the time it's quite good. Of course, the ship is stabilised, which reduces the violent rolling down to perhaps a roll of 5 or 10 degrees instead of something that would normally be about 30 degrees.
What's the bell for? Do you ring that anymore?
The bell these days is more or less a piece of tradition. In the days of sailing ships years ago, it was probably there was only one clock on the whole ship, and there'd be no way of telling the time, and so consequently time was indicated by the striking of the bell. In the 4-hourly watch periods, you progress through from 1 bell to 8 bells, and in that way everybody on the ship knew what the time was, at least every half hour.
After a very calm crossing, Davenport comes into sight. No pilot or tugs are used here. Captain Hadley has entered Devonport Harbour thousands of times. He handles the ship with practised ease.
Half ahead port.
It looks no more difficult than parking a car, but here we are watching an expert at work.
On the pad, quarter walker.
Right, stop both engines.
For most of the passengers disembarking at Devonport, the voyage has been an exciting start to their Tasmanian holiday. For us, it has also been an interesting insight to the workings of a ship's bridge.
The art of the potter is probably one of the most ancient crafts of all. It goes back thousands of years. Vessels such as this one have been dug up in ancient civilization ruins all over the world. And these days we don't see very much of it, at least well-made, handmade pottery. But when you do, it's appreciated. And that was brought to our attention by a letter from Mr. Bob Neville in Victoria. Can you just hold it for a second, Lorraine? Mr. Neville writes and says, when we were on holidays last year, we visited Warrnambool and saw a unique place where we could not only buy some fine handmade pottery, but where we could actually see the potter at work. We never realised how much was involved in this work before and thought that other viewers of Ask the Leyland Brothers might find it fascinating too. Well, we agree with you, Mr. Neville, it is fascinating. And we've come to the Potter's Wheel, a place where Ken Sadler works every day making pieces of pottery. So let's go and meet Ken Sadler, the potter.
Using an old bakehouse for his work, Ken Sadler kneads the clay, much the same as dough, except with clay this preparation is called wedging. 7 years ago, Ken completed a diploma course at the local institute in Warrnambool and now explains the pottery process to interested visitors.
Oh, you've got to start off with everything in centre. The first moves I make will be the basic moves for every pot you ever make. You start out with it out of centre, well, the whole pot's going to be crooked. See, that's very close there now, but that 1/16 of an inch now will make the world of difference later.
How do you know when it is centre? Just by feel?
It stops wobbling around, like now.
Oh, yeah.
It's a matter of opening it up. A lot of people ask, how do they get them hollow? And once I've got a shape all finished, well, it starts right from the word go, it's hollow.
What are we making?
Not real sure. Probably a big milk jug, I hope so.
Just make a milk jug just from that one lump, like that?
Yeah. It's just a matter of close. Slowly work it up. I tried closing it too quick then.
Why do you keep cutting it off like that all the time?
Oh, just so when you're closing it up, because it's out a fraction out of centre, it keeps climbing one side higher than the other. But if you let it go, it'll climb, you know, 1/4 inch higher than the other. So just keep cutting it off. It's easier to handle. Yeah, that's just about how I want it now. So it's a matter of trimming it again. It shouldn't happen if I'd taken more time centering it in the first place. It wouldn't have happened. Matter of slicing off the wheel. show you how a handle's made. It's the next step with the jug. It's a matter of slowly drawing the clay out. It wasn't supposed to happen, but it'll be right. Plenty of water all the time when you're working with the clay. You've got to have plenty of water, otherwise your hand will stop on the handle and you rip the base off it. And if you've got it like that, it's only a matter of curling it over. And you use this particular part of the handle. It's got to dry for about an hour or so before it's ready to use, so it's just a matter of sitting there and waiting for it to go firm. Now to stick the handle on, it's a matter of scoring this particular surface and doing the same on the handle. You see, I've got the handle. Score both surfaces and then put it together. Just run the handle down and around till you've got the required shape. Now that you've got all that, the top piece sorted out, take the base off and work the bottom section of the handle in.
Ken mixes his own glazing solutions using basic components such as wood ash and crushed rock. They melt at incredibly high temperatures to form a glass surface on the outside of the finished pottery.
Well, you see now this part of the glaze is dried, so it's a matter of dipping it back the other way. At this stage the pot is very porous and you're relying on that to you dip it in there, and being porous you get a build up on here. You can probably see there the way it's drying out as it goes, and where I've brushed the candle wax on, the second glaze doesn't adhere and you get the different designs coming through the pot. And so that particular glaze there will come out gunmetal grey.
After 4 days sealed in the kiln, the moment every potter works for.
In the kiln we've got these, they're known as pyrometric cones. They gauge my temperature. I've bricked the door up, I've got a spy hole in here that I can look through. This one melts at 1280 degrees, which gives me an indication of how the temperature's going. And this other one, it melts at 1300 centigrade, so as soon as it starts to bend, I shut the kiln down, halve the gas pressure and soak it for half an hour so as I get an even heat right throughout. Otherwise, it'll be hot up at the top. You'd end up with the pots down your bottom of your kiln wouldn't be quite hot enough, so you soak it and it's just a matter of turning it off. But they're correct to within about 2 degrees and they're a lot better than all the electronic things as far as I can see. No, it's all in one piece. Thanks. You're all right. Not a bad firing. Often you get a few that are bodges. We've got ashtrays in here. Yeah, I know. It's all right. This one's in order. I hope it's all right. Yeah. That's his mate. Well, it turned out well. That one there, the pawn, it's been up to 1300 degrees centigrade. It's finished. That one's been 900 centigrade. It's just been what's known as bisque firing, and that's the colour that, or that's the way they just dry out. You know?
So it starts off that size and ends up that size?
Yeah.
Oh, I never realised it shrunk.
A fascinating look at a real artist at work, thanks to Mr. Neville for asking the Leyland brothers.
We have had about 20 letters asking to see porpoises. This one from Michael Burrow of Hadsman, Tasmania is typical. Could you film porpoises performing and ask the trainer how he trains them? Well, at Coffs Harbour, I spoke to trainer Greg Pickering.
Performing in a pool like this, is it difficult to train them to do the sort of things they do?
Well, Mike, it's become a well-known fact now that the porpoise or dolphin, if you like, prefer to call him that, is a highly intelligent mammal. And in fact, they have one of the highest IQ ratings of the animal kingdom, it's been found. And it's not really hard to train them at all. We use a method we call positive reinforcement. This is used on a trial and error basis, where we use the food as a reward for the animal in training. The animal is coaxed to do a particular behaviour or movement of some nature, and it's rewarded with its food, with a piece of its food. Now, to get the message to the animal, we use a referee's whistle. We use this as a bridging gap to let them know very quickly just when they've done their job correctly and that they are about to receive their reward for the job done. And this is basically how they're all trained. They're never forced to do anything in any way. They're always coaxed and just brought along very gently until they learn that they're to do these particular things.
Greg, how do you actually get it across to the dolphin that you want him to go on his tail to do the tail walk?
Well, Mike, it's quite easy, really. They develop this naturally, as I said, and it's just a matter of tossing them a fish or a ball and getting them to catch it, and they start the tail walk back on their tail in this method. And I'll demonstrate it for you, if you like. Now, Buck, young fellow, where are you? You're right there? You need to catch the ball. As you see, the tail walks for a short distance to catch the ball there, and by giving him the reward for this, he can easily catch on to the idea of tail walking. It's just a matter of extending that further.
Can you throw the ball across again?
I can easily throw it again. You right, Mike? Oh, back. That's the way. Bring it back here, Buck. Because he brings it back and expects his reward.
They seem to actually enjoy this, don't they?
Yes, they do. Well, the whole idea of this is based on pleasure for them. If they weren't happy, if they didn't enjoy it, they wouldn't do it. All right, well, what I'm going to show you now is how we can go about teaching the buck to do a somersault, the backward somersault. Right. Well, now, to start off, we're showing the ball. We've got to be very cautious at the first, because naturally he's a bit wary of the strange thing attached to the end of the ball here, and it's just going to take a few moments to coax him around. He's naturally used to nudging the ball with his nose to start. He's seen the ball before. He's actually touching it with his flipper there. And as you see, he's putting his tail up towards it. Now, we've just got to coax him to do that again until he hits it with his tail. Right. Now, he's done the correct thing, so he gets a small reward there. And so we attempt this once again, only raising the ball higher. As you see, he's quickly got the idea of hitting the ball with his tail. And it's just a matter of raising his ball higher now. Come on, Buck. Hit that ball, Buck. Come on, little fella. You can do it. Come on, little boy. Come on. Hit the ball, Buck. As you see, he's catching on to the idea of coming out, up and falling backwards there. Get that run. You can do it, little boy. Come on. Hit the ball. You're doing very well, Buck. Hit the ball now. Return for your fish. Come on. I don't want Sandy taking the fish.
The months of patient training pay off in the finished act. Greg's brother Spencer trains the Australian fur seals.
To start off with the one flipper stand, we usually hold on to one flipper and also hold his tail up. Now come on, guys, get your tail up, come on. You start off very easy, you hold them up like that. Now, to teach them this trick, it takes about a month to 6 weeks. And these Clyde here was the first Australian fur seal to be ever to be taught this trick. Actually, the first Australian fur seal to be taught to perform in a sea circus. Right, Clyde, one more. This is a very difficult trick to teach the seal too, because it's not a natural feat for them. They would never, or very rarely ever, be able to do this in their natural state, in the wild state.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and geese. Welcome to Coffs Harbour's Bed Porpoise Pool. That's a bit better.
Clyde is a real favourite with the children, and his antics always bring applause.
The only trouble is, of course, he knows that... Got your sea legs yet there, Captain?
Clyde loves to give Percy the penguin a ride in the Coffs Harbour patrol boat.
What's the bird coming up, Percy? Hey, Clyde, you're giving old Percy a pretty rough ride there, aren't you? He even looks a bit seasick on it. Well, Clyde, I think you might have earned your fish for the day, but I've got an idea. You put Percy off his. I think, folks, we better put old Percy back in his quarters until tucker time.
But the real stars of the show are the porpoises, as they perform their graceful acts.
Travel all over the countryside, ask the Leylands, ask the Leylands. Travel all over the countryside, ask the Leyland brothers. Whatever it is that you want to see, ask the Leylands, ask the Leylands. No matter whatever that happens to be, ask the Leyland brothers. Come on, me in it and join in the fun. Travel all over Australia.